and welcome back to End Times Prophecy News Update. This is Carrie Geren Scoggins, bringing a message today of waking up the church to the current situation. It's no longer future tense concerning the government practicing abuse of a public office, targeting Christian religious right Republicans, Christians in politics, ministers, and vocal Christians against the gay agenda. The illegal use of political opposition by law enforcement, federal, state, and local, sending informants into the churches and to the Christians' jobs, family, friends, recruiting everyone they know as an informant against them. Illegal political and religious harassment and violations of the 1964 Civil Rights Act protected class status under religion. Illegally targeting a protected class. And yes, they're even telling their informants that they didn't believe that was still the case. The Democrats in office fully well know the law still protects Christians under protected class status, that of religion, from the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and indeed that the court precedents have already been set, and punitive damages up to $100 million if caught violating a Christian's civil rights. And when it comes to filing suit for punitive damages, do not be shy about doing so. Remember, the NAACP probably wouldn't have gotten where they are now in their civil rights movements. They're even demanded punitive damages. We've seen this in the Christian civil rights lawsuits, where in the cases where punitive damages were not requested, they continued right on violating the Christian civil rights because they saw it as a free ticket, that they could just pay the minor court costs and continue right on violating Christian civil rights. We're fighting anti-Christian hatred and bigotry, and we're going to have to do so with such a mass amount of punitive damages that it leaves them with a sting they don't forget. We've seen this from other civil rights movements here in the United States. Moving on, the IRS, as I've mentioned in prior videos, admitted to being in bed with the Freedom from Religion Foundation and atheist activists who were really just anti-Christian religious bigots that have pushed the IRS to say that they will send informants into the Christian church. Evidently, the IRS has forgotten what the law states, and that indeed they could be sued for punitive damages for targeting a protected class under religion. The anti-Christian religious bigotry is vast and growing in the United States. My own circumstances where gay activists have used law enforcement and a badge to illegally try to get me to say something against homosexuals, paying lesbians to kiss and make out in front of me, admitting that they were doing so as informants. And when I responded, what did you think that you could get on me? She said hate speech. And I had already stated so many times how the hate speech laws have been overturned in the federal Supreme Court, upholding our legal right to debate the issue. So instead of giving them what they wanted, I pulled out my recorder and made sure to get the conversation on tape, going something along this lines. Of course, the hate speech laws were overturned in the federal Supreme Court, upholding our legal right to debate the issues. And of course, the federal Supreme Court's biblical core values ruling, upholding our legal right to adhere to biblical core values and citing Romans chapter 1 and scriptures that condemn homosexuality, upheld by the federal Supreme Court as our legal right, as well as our legal right to proselytize upheld in the federal Supreme Court, where they didn't get a freedom from religion. Their attempts at getting a freedom from religion was shot down, upholding our legal right to proselytize instead. The legal right to spread the gospel and quote a whole uncensored Bible. So remember this when you're confronted with informants, to do the same. Make sure to get the conversation on a recording for court. Snap pictures, get tag numbers. Keep up with dates and times. If they're coming into your churches and purposefully trying to provoke you, and remember, if they're coming into your churches causing a disruption, there's at no time you cannot call in law enforcement and have someone removed from your church. If they're coming in drag, wearing pink shirts, or trying to provoke someone in your church to say something about what they're doing, thinking that they're going to get you for hate speech. Remember, the hate speech law was overturned in the federal Supreme Court. Call in the law enforcement and tell them that their behavior violates your legal right to adhere to biblical core values, and that it's illegal for them to come in and try to get something on you in your own establishment or any other place. They cannot attack you in public, coming in with recorders trying to get you to say something. This is violating the protected class status of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, federal law, biblical core values ruling, federal law. And remember, there is no freedom from religion. They didn't win that. You have the legal right to proselytize, and yes, that's in public places such as parks as well, cited by the federal Supreme Court. Carry your cameras with you and be ready to defend your Christian civil rights to the crooked Democrat movement of the anti-Christian religious bigotry by gays with a badge here in the United States. They're going after their opposition, which violates abuse of a public office laws and the court precedents. It's obviously a conflict of interest to have gay activists coming in trying to police the Christians, or atheists, or people that support the Freedom from Religion Foundation coming into the churches trying to get something on them. It's illegal for government agencies to target Christians. Our churches are not a place for a sting operation. We do not preach a censored Bible. We saw this in the Houston Five when Anais Parker, the lesbian mayor of Houston, Texas, tried this very thing, subpoenaing church sermons, hoping to criminalize our teachings condemning homosexuality, such as Romans chapter 1. But of course, the anti-discrimination laws do not cover religion, because federal laws protect the religious groups, such as Christians, and I guess that also extends to Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and other religions of the like, because none accept homosexuality as an acceptable lifestyle. There's very few denominations and very few religious cults that will accept homosexuality. And because freedom of religion, our First Amendment rights, as well as, again, the biblical core values and religion being a protected class status under the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and the fact that they overturned the hate speech laws, upholding our legal right to debate the issue, our legal right to oppose the state's viewpoints. There is no legal grounds for them to come in and try to get something on Christians for their religious beliefs, nor any other reason. Even if they try to use the excuse of going after their tax-exempt status. They know the 24th Amendment and the poll tax law stated clearly no one can be taxed for practicing what is a civil right. And it is a civil right to back a political candidate that best represents your group. This is the federal law. And this is what holds water in the courtroom. Again, record these informants. And make sure to get their name if you can. If not, get their tag numbers, get the date and time, and make sure to get onto the recording. what the law actually says, remembering that it will be heard in a courtroom. And if your attorney does not know the law, make sure that you do, and it's already on the recording for the judge to hear. Obviously, liberals do not want this to be federal law, which trumps state law. However, they don't enforce what they want the law to be. They're to enforce what the law states as it's written. The rule of law, due process of law. Not go in and do what thou wilt. Make sure that you videotape it. Get audio and video recordings for court. Take photographs, get tag numbers, log and file the time and dates. And keep up with them swarming your churches with informants. As drugs become legal across the United States, as of now, they're legal in almost half the states here in the U.S. The $100 billion wasted in each federal office over-policing the nation is gradually moving away from the drugs to now accusing people over their political and religious beliefs, because these people do not want to give up their money-making surveillance scam. Just like Nazi Germany, when 1/3 of the population was the Stasi, government informants, here in the United States the numbers are even higher. Enough to waste almost $100 billion per federal office. Snowden told the truth. They were targeting the Republicans, Christian religious right, libertarians, and the like. The Tea Party, made up mostly of Christians, were being harassed and targeted with literally billions of taxpayer money wasted, squandered, sending in informants to harass them, stalk them down, and try to get something on them for their political and religious beliefs. It was said in the Senate hearings concerning the NSA that, yes, it's still abuse of a public office, and it's certainly violating the 1964 Civil Rights Act, giving religion protected class status under the law. So you're fully within your legal rights to record the conversation and file suit for up to $100 million in punitive damages. Be ready to file suit. This is wrong. This is our America. We're taxpayers, and the Christians are not going to be second-class citizens. We're just as equal as anyone else here. Funny how the liberal, Democrat, gay activist informants want to pretend that it's not still the law, that Christians are still a protected class under religion, and yet mention Islam or some other religion and they're quick to jump in there and say they have civil rights. So notice the one-sided hypocrisy, again coming from the liberal Democrats. They always want freedom for their side, but never straight across the board. It's freedom for both sides, not just liberal Democrats and those that they support. You're not a libertarian until you support the legal rights of those that you despise. This includes Christian civil rights. The legal right to adhere to biblical core values in Romans chapter 1 to preach and teach an uncensored Bible here in America. Our basic First Amendment fundamental rights that we were taught all of our lives were the basic core of our system. Our First Amendment rights, our fundamental civil rights that we were taught were the core of the United States Constitution. Our freedom of speech, our legal right to oppose the state's views, our legal right of protest, our freedom of press, our legal right to debate any issue from any viewpoint. There are no more hate speech laws. They were overturned in the federal Supreme Court. They can't bring them back through bullying legislation in the schools and try to intimidate Christian students into no longer quoting Bible scriptures. We still have our full First Amendment rights. We're not going to give Chuck Schumer and the Democrats who proposed amending the First Amendment what they want. Again, Christians, get your tape recorders out and record the government informants. I can give you a heads up on some of their tactics. Again, sending lesbians to kiss and make out in front of my daughter and I, hoping to get me to say something, following me through the store saying, "Are you mad? Are you mad?" just taunting me. Or pulling up to the gas station day in and day out and seeing more and more homosexual men getting out, putting on a pink shirt, and walking around my vehicle trying to get me to say something. And again, it wouldn't be illegal if I did. They overturned the hate speech laws and upheld our legal right to debate the issue, upheld our legal right to proselytize, a full uncensored Bible. There is no freedom from religion. If I'd wanted to run up to him and quote Romans chapter 1, I had the full legal right. Remember this, and make sure to videotape what they're doing and get it on tape for law enforcement to educate them, and send it to the attorney's offices. Hide your SD cards, because as they've sent informants to my place to break in and try to steal the SD cards, to get a key to my vehicle from my family, and try to break into my vehicle and steal the SD cards. Save it to file, save it to SD cards, and hide them, and make sure attorneys have copies. And you can do what I've done. Go to the State Attorney General's office and begin to turn in information, especially if they're bullying you online. Take a screenshot or use your snippet tool in your accessories and take a photo of the ugly comments they're writing into you on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and the like. Take pictures of their comments, photos, proof for court. Social media has an agreement with most law enforcement that they will give up IP addresses of those that are doing the bullying. Anti-Christian religious discrimination is a real crime, a hate crime. There's stalking in some states. Tennessee has a stalking law. There's also religious discrimination and filing suit against the agency of which they're working for, or filing suit against the individuals for discrimination and harassment, mental anguish. And it can become mental anguish when it's day in and day out. And you find that you've got hundreds and hundreds of these screenshots of ugly comments from gay activists that are just government informants hired to write in and bully and harass you over your political and religious beliefs. I've saved all this for court, and I'm asking you to do the same thing. We're going to win this battle, and we're going to win it in the courts. We're going to win it by protesting. We're going to win it by speaking out. This country is not going to make Christians second-class status and second-class citizens. This has been another End Times Prophecy News Update. Carrie Geren Scoggins. Thank you for listening.